Hello YouTube. So it is January 24th, Tuesday, January 24th today. And I thought this morning I would just kind of sit and talk with you about how January's been so far. It's been definitely a crazy month, crazier than I thought it would have been for like the start of the year after doing a 2.5 month contract performing. So let's talk about it. I've also refilmed this video like 5 or 6 times and now the camera battery is flashing. I just couldn't figure out what I wanted to say and saying it properly, but let's change this camera battery. Jeez. Okay. New camera battery, come on. So, January of 2023. Let's get into it. So I got home from Ohio on January 2nd because Sean came to pick me up on December 30th when the show was ending. We did a little road trip for New Year's Eve and New Year's Day to Pittsburgh to hang out with some friends, and then got back here on January 2nd. And I knew those first few days that I was back, I was gonna need to like decompress from the show and decompress from like not being around the people that I was around for 2.5 months and not doing a show anymore and just feeling those emotions. So the first few days I was kind of like lying in bed a lot, being very like lazy and like sad, which I knew was gonna happen because obviously White Christmas was the first show I'd done in like 4 years and I was gone for 2.5 months, that I was just like, I just need this time to just really like take a moment for myself, be in my emotions, then like get back into my normal life. And I feel like what kind of kickstarted me back into like normal Tori was actually having a self-tape to film for something that I just randomly submitted for online and then got sent an invitation to self-tape for it. And I was like, okay, this is great. And it was a really fun self-tape that Sean helped me film and it went well. So I felt good about it. And I was like, okay, great. This feels like me getting back to my normal self of like filming a self-tape, and here we go. We're done with the show. We're now moving back into life in New York. And then my sister Alexis reached out to me and was like, hey, a friend of mine needs a cat sitter. Would you be able to help out? And I was like, oh yes, absolutely, for sure. Because I get to hang out with the cat, I get to get out of the apartment, and then I would get some money. So from January 7th to the 11th, I was cat sitting. But with this, I was watching the cat only overnight. I only needed to be there really in the evening to feed them, stay overnight with them, and then feed them in the morning, and I could do whatever I wanted during the day. What I did the first like 2 days of it, because it was a weekend, I went there the evening of the 7th, took care of the cat, slept overnight on the couch, and then woke up the next morning, fed the cat, and then came back home here to Brooklyn, which is like an 1.5 hour train ride because I didn't have anything else to do. Hang out with Sean, have dinner, and then head back up there. But then the Monday of that week, I was like, you know what? I'm already out of the apartment. I do have a call for work that I'm gonna have to do, but I also want to take a class. And I also hadn't taken a dance class in the longest time, which is so depressing to me. When I was performing in the show, didn't have time to do classes there. Even before that, I just had not taken a dance class in the longest time. I think a big part of it was that a lot of the teachers that I really loved taking class with, that made it feel like a very welcoming and good environment that didn't feel like an audition, they were all gone for like the whole summer because they were choreographing something or they were out of town doing other things that I was just like, these teachers that are here, I'm not a huge fan of, and I don't love their class environment all the time because it sometimes feels, not sometimes, a lot of times feels like an audition. And I wanted just a chill class environment where I was also like at a point with myself that I was like not feeling great in my body and like how I was looking, how I was feeling, that I was like, I just want to be in a class environment where I feel like there's no judgment. So getting back into that first class, post-contract and post all of these feelings, I was a bit nervous about it, but it was at Steps. It was with a teacher that I'd taken class with like years ago who I'd like enjoyed the class with, and I knew I would like this class again. And it was also a fairly small class size too. There was one point where I was a little bit like, oh God, I don't know how I feel about everything during the warm-up, but then like once we got into the combination, I was like, no, why did I feel this way? This was great. And I feel like that was a good bit for my mental health, being like, I'm back in class, I'm back to like feeling like myself again, and this is a good feeling to have. So that was those few days of January. Alongside all of this, I already knew that I had a trip planned out to Utah with Sean for January 13th to the 17th for wedding stuff. We planned this trip in December because there was things that we needed to do in Utah that are not here in New York, like getting my wedding dress, doing hair and makeup stuff, going to our venue, trying food, that kind of thing that had to be done in Utah that we had a planned trip for. January 11th, Sean had been called for jury duty and he was like, I'm not gonna get picked, it's not gonna be a problem, we'll be totally fine. Sean comes home from jury duty, he goes, so yeah, I got picked. So he's been doing jury duty basically since then. There's also Martin Luther King Day thrown in there, so like things got pushed back with the case and he's just been at jury duty for a long time. He's currently there right now. That's why it's 9, 10 o'clock in the morning and he's not here and I'm sitting in the office filming. Usually I'll be filming in the bedroom because he's on work calls. That kind of threw a wrench in our plans for this trip to Utah because we were planning on going together to do all the stuff, but I still had to go to Utah to do all of my own personal things that I had to do while I was there, so I went to Utah by myself. And within this, I was like, I'm not gonna stay at the hotel that we got. We'll cancel that. I will find somewhere else to stay. Ended up sleeping on my friend Amber's couch for like 5 days, which is great because I hadn't seen her in such a long time. I got to hang out with her and her boyfriend and their cat and do everything that I need to do while I was in Utah, which included going to an audition, getting my wedding dress picked up, meeting with some seamstresses, doing a hair and makeup trial, seeing my friend Rachel, and seeing my family friends that were out there. So it was a successful weekend in Utah because I got pretty much everything done that I wanted to do while I was there specifically for the wedding. And then had a red-eye flight to come back to New York on the 18th. Had a self-tape callback to film that day that was due that evening. Honestly, that afternoon that I got home at 7 a.m. from this red-eye flight, slept for like 3 hours, woke up, got ready, filmed the self-tape, edited it, and sent it over by like 3 p.m. Thursday and Friday, the 19th and the 20th, that I had an audition on the 19th, and then the 20th I had another audition. Friday the 20th, this past Friday, I had a dance class in the morning. I hung out with my friend Daniela for a little bit, went to this audition, and then saw the girls from White Christmas for game night, and we hung out and were hanging out at this apartment playing games until like 1 in the morning. And my brain was like, who is this person? Who is this version of Tori? This feels like 2019 Tori before the pandemic that would be like doing all this crazy stuff, and it felt like so normal to me that I was like, who is she? I haven't met this girl in a while. But then I woke up Saturday morning and I was like, oh my God, this feels like a whirlwind week of how my life used to be before. And it's so nice, but also so exhausting. Saturday and Sunday felt like kind of like recuperating days. And then yesterday I was just like a ball of emotions for no reason. I was just like angry at everything. There's so many little things just kept pissing me off yesterday. Now this morning I'm like, okay, we're back to normal-ish. We're back to like feeling normal-ish. And what are we gonna do with that? I kind of felt like a nomad for the first bit of January because slept in my own bed for the first few days, slept on somebody's couch for like 5 days, slept in my own bed for 1 day, slept on somebody else's couch for like 5 days. And now I've been back and been like super, super busy up until like today. But I feel like the thing that I'm like trying to grasp that I don't have currently is a schedule. And I don't like that. The huge thing that I loved about being on the contract in Ohio performing in White Christmas was that I had like a set schedule every day, because that was something that like throughout the pandemic I was like, there were times where I had like a set schedule of everything that I'd be doing during the day. And then I think also it was kind of around when I stopped filming TikToks in like March of last year that I like lost a big part of my schedule of the day, that I was like, I don't know what to do with myself. But having that calendar of like, you do this from this time, this from this time, you have this break for food, you have this, like that kind of schedule in Ohio was so nice for me to be like, okay, I'm back to being a normal human being who has a calendar and a schedule. That not having that like confirmed every single day has kind of been like making me feel complacent and lazy, and I hate feeling like that. And that's something that like I feel like I need to come to terms with a little bit more of like, okay, you can have times to be lazy and relaxed, but like it shouldn't be all encompassing. And that's a little bit where I feel like I'm at currently, that I feel like the not having a calendar is taking over everything and making me feel like I don't want to do anything. So that's why a lot of the times I've been like, what can I do today? What can I do today? Like I keep looking at my calendar being like, all right, I need to keep myself busy. What can I do today? That even filming this video this morning was like, okay, I have some time before I have a client call at like 11:30. What can I do this morning to like keep myself busy? That I'm like, I'm just craving a schedule, and doing a show always gives me a schedule that I'm like, oh my God, I have that. That I kind of had the schedule like that pre-pandemic when I had like my restaurant job and everything, but I'm like, I don't know. I feel like my brain is like, I don't know what to do with myself, that I need a calendar. And it also kind of feels like right now there's like a shift happening with things in life of like work stuff and auditions and life. Obviously a big life change is happening in a couple months for me that like I feel like is kind of taking over my brain in a certain way that I'm like, oh God, I haven't even like processed this. But then it also feels like other things are majorly changing too that I like haven't even realized, but it's starting to feel like that shift is happening and I need to like go with that shift to really like embrace it, and maybe that will give me that like schedule and life thing that I'm craving right now. It's not that I don't like not having things to do. I just prefer to have things to do, and having it be like Monday through Friday is like a schedule, and then Saturday and Sunday are my rest days. I feel like right now it feels like a lot of stuff is a rest day, and then randomly something comes up and then I'm like, oh my God, that I'm like, I need to have things to do to keep myself occupied. But yeah, it definitely feels like there's like a shift in that direction happening of like, things are changing that are gonna give me that I'm craving, that I don't have right now, that I desperately want, but also will like help me refine the balance that I haven't been able to find, honestly, since the pandemic. I feel like things have felt like very out of balance since 2020, that now having done a show and that like life is reopened a lot, that it feels like it's like, okay, that balance is starting to like happen again, and you're gonna find it in a way that'll be more healthy for you than it was before. Because I definitely had like a balance of things pre-pandemic, but it was not a very healthy balance of things. Like I had a good mix of like work, auditions, dance, life in my life, but it was like this, then this, then this, then this. Whereas now I feel like I'm starting to find like this more often, and I'm shifting to find that more often. And a big part I feel like of like finding the schedule that I want for myself is like giving myself a routine that I have to do every day. I feel like a lot of this is coming from like taking what I had in Ohio of my sort of schedule and kind of bringing it back into my like post-contract life, which was waking up at like 7 in the morning to go to the gym to kind of do a workout, which was basically like me stretching and walking on the track at that gym, doing some abs so I could be ready for the show, eating breakfast, and then going into everything that I was doing for the day. Because since I've been home, I have been sleeping in so much, and I don't like that. I don't like sleeping in late because it makes me feel like I've wasted the whole morning. And when I had that schedule in Ohio, I was like, oh my God, this is so great for me and my productivity, that I'm gonna be like able to get things done. And I was able to like do a client call in the morning sometimes after going to the gym before going to the show, which made me feel like so productive when I was in Ohio doing the show, that I was like, oh my God, I need to make sure I take this back into life in New York. And I have not done it. Granted, January has been crazy and I feel like I've not been able to find my footing. Now that I'm back for a bit, obviously there's like more wedding stuff that we have to do in February that we have to go back out to Utah for, but for the next like few weeks, I feel like I kind of have my footing, that this is where I need to like establish the calendar and establish the schedule that I want of waking up at 7 in the morning like I did in Ohio, doing a workout. Obviously it won't be the same thing as pulling myself out of my bed and getting into a car to go to a gym and a Y. It's gonna be getting myself out of bed to do something in my apartment, or even go down to the gym that we have downstairs to walk on the treadmill. I feel like I need to establish this for myself, get this routine started as soon as I possibly can, and then have that as like a start of something that will motivate me to keep a schedule going. And then I'll be able to like find the balance that I wanna have with everything. And then have this shift that I'm feeling like actually happen. I feel like making that conscious change to my calendar of putting in a workout, having my breakfast, having my vitamins in the morning as well, will like really make me feel like more settled and more grounded and more ready for this shift that I'm feeling is happening. I also think part of it is motivation, because obviously with the show, I was motivated to like get out of bed and get ready for the show and have a 2-show day. But now I don't have something like later on in the day that's motivating me towards being like, you're gonna get up and do this. Like, it's not like I'm like not every day I have an audition, not every day I have a self-tape to film, not every day I have something to do work-wise. And I feel like if I find something every day to be like, this is your motivation to get out of bed this morning, you're gonna get up today and make yourself a good breakfast, you're gonna get up today and you're gonna do this, I feel like that's gonna really also help it too. I just feel like I need to figure out what that is every single day. I feel like this video has been all over the place, honestly. It's been a lot of word vomit, which honestly sometimes are like breakthrough moments for me, for myself, but I I hope you enjoyed this. If you're kind of feeling the same kind of way, let's talk about it in the comments. And yeah, hope you have a good week. Thank you so much for watching. DFTBA, and I will see you next time. Bye.